Okay, so a question I have is currently we're archiving and doing fine. Do we open ourselves to litigation by saying we're gonna be searching for everything and all of a sudden we miss something and something happens and it was our fault because we're not looking for it, yet we have the stuff to do it? I mean, just because you can doesn't mean it's amazing how I type something into a search engine right now and all of a sudden for the next 12 years I'm getting pop-ups on the side of my screen that says what I wanted to buy, even though I was just searching for it, I really don't want to buy it. Do we want to put ourselves in that position? I don't know that we necessarily do. That's kind of like saying guns not allowed on a premise and all of a sudden somebody walks in with a gun and shoots one of your patrons, you're liable for that having happened. And do we want Darlene Markle running at an instantaneous pace when somebody typed in the word suicide or they're doing a term paper or whatever? I don't know if that's good either.
Yeah, it's part of this question too, though. Is sounds like we're already doing this. The question now becomes, do we want to do it at the level we're doing it, or do we want to do it better?
Well, we're archiving, and
I've heard the part about them getting reports in the morning of words.
I know she had shown me a year or so ago, she gets a report every morning,
Yeah.
that, let's say they're
Based
doing
on
something,
searches.
and she says, I know, like, if they're talking about reproduction, they're gonna be doing that, she says, so I don't worry about that.
Right.
But if we're not, and all of a sudden these words come up, that sends a flag up to her, and she has, to start tracking.
You try searching a website that is a flagged word or something, it comes up to her.
And I get that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying the question kind of becomes, do we continue the level we're
Right,
doing
do we
it, or
move on?
do we say we want to do it better? Or have we been seeing an increase? I know there was the incident that happened at Fox River. Have we been seeing an increase of things that we say, well, wait a minute, we do need to be doing a better job of this? Are we dropping the ball? I don't know. What does the administration think?
I don't work directly with it, but I know that Mrs. Markle would like to have more information coming to her and spend less time trying to figure out what the information says. So it seems like this system is more clear-cut and can hit that more quickly when something comes up.
How much do we lock down the systems as far as what a child is able to access? I mean, are we locking down Facebook, things like that?
We do, yeah.
What do they have available to them? Basic Google searches?
Google
and-
searches, safe searches through Google, so we turn those things on. They can search pretty much, whatever, but they're safe searches, so bad images and things aren't coming up. So students have a little different filtering than staff, if you will. So with this route, we would then just go to SIPA compliance, if you will, what the federal government requires to protect, the pornography and the bad searches. So we would have that layer of filtering, and then we would rely on, having some of these pieces in place as far as triggering what other things that are going on.
Okay, what was the yearly continuum?
The yearly would be $6,600.
And what's your current yearly? 1,200?
12,000 currently.
And you're saying
But
the
that
future would be,
It'll be somewhere in the middle.
Right, that'll definitely be
because
below
you
that.
have to keep part of one and.
Exactly.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this particular company and product, we chose this one because other schools are using it, or?
It has a good reputation within the Waconago Area School District. They've been using it for quite a while. They haven't yet utilized the licensing portion, but the licensing portion does have quite a benefit to us so that we can make sure that we are in compliance, that we're not running past the licenses that are allotted to us that could open us up to potential legal action.
Okay, by license, you mean on
Things
the
like-
individual computers?
Like Adobe
endpoint?
Acrobat, if that's on there, if we have a specific application like AutoCAD,
Okay.
for instance. So we're not running past our limit, and if we got audited,
Oh,
that'd
okay.
that'd be an issue.
Okay.
We don't network those anyways, do we?
He means on the individual licenses on the computers that we're not.
Yeah, but each AutoCAD installation has a license. You can't activate it without actually going onto AutoCAD, Autodesk site, putting in a license key for it.
Yeah, some are like that, but then there are those that aren't, like Windows and stuff like that. How much of that price is that piece of it?
That's included with the.
It's
how
like
much
they
is
didn't break
included?
it down, yeah.
Okay.
They didn't go into specifics. It was kind of a bundle.
Okay.
Yeah, the Windows stuff we buy on a mass site basis anyways, so. What we're paying for that stuff is kind of peanuts these days.
Right, but I guess the question I had with it, I mean, we're probably doing what volume pricing with Windows, where, you know, we're telling them the number of users
Right.
they have, and then what they're saying is this software then will keep us in compliance, that we aren't over our limit type of thing for the different software programs. And I was just wondering how much of that piece of it was in the cost, that maybe that wouldn't be as necessary as some of the other things they could do that would then bring down the price overall. What if they don't break it out, if it's just something they have in there, part of the deal, then it's
Problem is, it's
moot
more
point.
data that somebody's gotta do something with is the issue. Don't get me wrong, I like data, but I work at customer sites where you collect all the data, but you go back 12 years later and nobody's ever done anything with that data. You know,
True, and I guess,
You've gotta set all
Not-
this stuff up to make it do something.
right, and I'm not arguing it for one way or the other,
Yeah,
but
you gotta
I'm
push-
sure that's optional too, how long we keep it, what we keep.
Retention period is something that you can set for
Right.
this appliance.
To me, it comes down to the question of, as the administration, do we see a need to be looking at this in real time to catch anything? I mean, that versus what we're doing now, where it's a bit of a delay, and it's more of a manual.
It is, it's not only a
Review.
delay, is you get a report, but then you have incomplete data, as you don't know who the
Who it
user
was,
is. And then, so then what
right.
we end up having to do is, it's already a day or whatever late, and then we go, okay, well, let's see, this is the IP they had, let's go into Moodle, because that kind of gives you some IP
Right.
ranges, and then you pull the data there and see what's going on, and then by the time we're giving it to Mrs. Markle, if we can even find it, it's
Right.
hard,
You're
whereas
digging-
this is gonna take that
right.
part of
You're
it
digging
off.
through a server log to try
Right,
to figure out,
right.
track it down. How often do you guys have to do that?
It's in every report. There
Every
is
day
incomplete
report.
data in that report where it'll give you a search term.
No, but I mean, where they're saying, oh, this looks like an issue, we need to figure out who this kid was and what they were doing.
Gosh, out.
The biggest issue is usually within Fox River because they're more
Right.
older students,
Sure.
and I believe that would be a question we'd have to ask Jeremy Bartels.
I mean, so to simplify Darlene's life, trying to track backwards who keystroked what, right? That's assuming the person was actually using their own computer. Let's assume that to start with. Unless
They
we're
might
gonna
have
take,
to log into anyone, right?
What's that on
Any computer they would use, they
Yes.
have to log
as
into
long as
it.
they're logged in as themselves, yeah.
Right.
So, but it's gonna be less expensive in the long run
It is.
by having this and the other one partially.
Right.
So I guess I'm not opposed to that.
Is there any advantage in the licensing structure to look at it on a school-by-school basis? To where maybe we don't need everything for kindergarten, but obviously we do at Fox River. So, I don't know if they have a licensing structure where, okay, you know, 100 kids
Right.
would fall under this type of license, and the rest we're just gonna use this part of it.
Right, we can specify how many agents we want, so we could certainly look at, see what the cost is. If we're just interested in Fox River
Look at your
or,
upper elementary
yeah,
too.
or up,
Or
I mean,
upper,
yeah,
right.
upper, I mean,
Sixth
we've
grade,
had, yeah.
Fourth, fifth, and
Yeah,
sixth,
we,
I would
even
definitely
third,
look
we've
at
had
that.
incidents where we've had to look, so you'd be
Oh, trust me, I
surprised.
say that. In
Yeah,
my-
you'd be
my
surprised. I-
first grader knows very well how to Google.
Right, right. So I'd
What are you
be,
looking at?
you know, if we go back to what Dan was saying, well, if we have it, oh wait, we don't have it on this machine, how do we keep track on where it is too? But yeah,
No,
certainly.
just
Yeah.
throwing it out
Yeah.
there, not saying it's the best idea.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of questions on it, but the other issue is even though you can do it, should you do it? And the issue comes back down to how much more can we push on the teaching staff or the administration of a school to take care of?
Or is this,
You might need a full-time person just to be the Gestapo on the keystrokes.
or is what they're telling us that it'll take
Make it
less
simpler.
time, make it easier than what they're doing
Well,
now?
now you
They
can get
already
all
have
these
to do it,
flags
it's
every
just a
day.
lot more
Yeah, it
legwork.
sounds like they're already doing it.
You know, she gets a report and then she bases it on what she thinks is the most important.
Right, so where are we at?
I guess it's less expensive. I would say we go forward with it, but we're gonna have to review this one a year from now or something to see. But you're not instituting this till next year anyways, right?
Correct.
So you can't really do anything now. You can purchase it over the summer, but yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. It's less expensive. I just wanna review it to see how it's doing, how much time it's taking, because all these things are thrown on these poor people to do in their lifetime. You know, what happened just teaching? We have to hire, another person to watch emails. So,
Yeah, I mean, it'd be good if we can establish that it's easier
Sure.
for the principals and everybody involved, which kind of is what I think I'm
What
hearing.
it sounded like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, to me, as far as the community, McGonigal, you said, has had it in place, they're utilizing it. Has it, because the initial reaction you had, I'm sure will be the reaction of some parents. You know, what are you exactly looking at with the keystrokes and all that type of thing? And, you know, if they see the things in the news with people looking through the webcams and things like that, so I'm sure there'll be questions about that.
Sure.
Has it been overall positive? With McGonigal, you said they've been using it. And
There's been no complaints that
No
I'm aware
complaints
of with
with
this
that.
device. It's mostly in the background, and only if there's any emergency situation does it even come to light.
All right, I
So,
understand it's
It's
unobtrusive, it's just,
mostly transparent to everybody else. It is, I believe, in their handbook that it indicates that it is in their equipment, so that
Okay.
if they need to utilize it, it's there, and that the public is aware of it. But it's yes, it does allow you to collect keystrokes, so that's one of the things with it. But as for like webcams or anything enabling that, there's no such ability with it.
okay.
So does that dump each day to the main server after the keystrokes are collected, or what's
The
going on?
keystrokes are collected into memory, and then if it's able to go and respond back to the appliance, it'll actually go and take a packet and place it to the appliance to go and have it retained. If it's, let's say, outside of the network, it can't communicate it, it tries and stores the amount it can into memory until eventually it just discards it if it's not able to go and communicate back. But we're talking about like if the device is outside of the network for months on end.
Say you take it home for a week, and you're keystroking a bunch at home because you're doing your homework.
Well, the way, it should be also able, if the network is configured correctly, to go and communicate back internally from the outside if necessary.
Okay, so it pulls it and pulls it off the local device.
Right, and that allows it so that it's able to be used if any type of prosecution needs to occur or anything like that. It's mandatory that it does not reside on the device for that.
Okay, so now we're keystroke, every keystroke's gonna be a date timestamp, user and all this information, every keystroke.
But keep in mind too that this equipment or these keystrokes are only necessary to be viewed if there's a major issue that's occurring. Otherwise, yes, it's retained, but you don't need to look at it at all unless there's.
No, what I'm
a
saying
threat.
is how much data, you talked server, you haven't talked storage.
The storage
is
is
on-
on the appliance,
on the
and it
appliance,
retain it up
yeah.
to 7+ years if
It's
necessary.
separate, yeah.
Okay,
It's all inclusive where it's only gonna house all the data. So.
all right.
Is this company competitive price-wise with other companies out there?
I have yet to see actually
This-
another one.
This appliance is probably in a class of its own. There's very little that can do such of the abilities that this one can. So it's hard to go and make a comparative estimate between other devices like it.
So what we've seen out there is what we have currently that's trying to do 3 different things. There's nothing that's kind of housed just like this. So
Merges it all together?
yeah.
Okay.
All right, well, I'm in favor of it, I guess it's the time, it says money saver in the long run. The thing I'm less in favor of is the time it's gonna take, so if you can come back and give us an update on it.
Sure. Absolutely.
We can't take any more time out of the people working here and the children in front of them, you know?
And like I said, they look at the data and they're like, well, what is this? Go dig for it, and then that's when we get involved and start digging around, and more time that way currently. So,
Okay,
any other questions?
favor?
The other thing, yeah.
Okay. All right,
Anything on the security camera?
There weren't any questions at the other meeting, you just.
Yeah. you're just adding on to what we got.
What's the trail side? Yeah,
Yeah.
just to cover.
I don't think we got any questions on that,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
Any
Great,
questions,
thank you,
anybody?
you guys.
All right, then we adjourn.
Thank you.
Thanks.